The Honda Civic, the coveted compact commuter known for its reliability and also the gateway to the import tuner community. This dual-faceted vehicle has lived many different lives. On one hand, it has lived through generations of teenagers, accumulating millions of miles and enduring many curbs. On the other hand, the Civic has been a legend on the road course, drag strip, and the street racing world. But now the car is over 20 years old, so is this car a washed-out actor out of its prime, or the superstar that age can't slow down? Today you'll find out if the Civic really is the legend it is, or if it's just a crumbling 20-year-old Honda. The one we have before us is a 6th generation Civic. These were built from 1996 to 2000, and there's a high chance you're familiar with this car. This one is a hatchback and a DX trim level. It still has the original engine, the D16Y7, making an earth-shattering 106 horsepower. This one is relatively unmodified, so you as the viewer will get a taste of what the car is like from the factory. So let's go ahead and see if this car really is a slouch it is on paper. Okay, the car is pretty slow, let's be honest. But just imagine, you could triple the horsepower of this car with another factory Honda engine. You could quadruple it with a different Honda engine, or even this one in here with some forced induction. You could even octuple it if you just swap in an octopus.
You're not funny and nobody likes you.
Alright, that was a terrible joke. I don't even know why I said it. I don't know why it's still in the video at this point. But honestly, if budget isn't a limit, then neither's the 800 horsepower mark. The possibilities are endless with this platform. These cars are like Legos, and if there's a recipe you can think of, there's a chance someone's already done it. You can create your own flavor of front-wheel drive or even all-wheel drive powertrain, from high-revving NA monsters to unreliable supercharged engines. But back to the engine we have here now. Even though it's slow, it's rev-happy, it's responsive in nature, and it sips on gas like Queen Elizabeth sips on tea. Because the Queen's dead, she can't sip on tea because she's dead. The D16Y7 is inherently one of the most simplest modern engine designs. You have one camshaft, one intake manifold, one radiator. What more could you want? But in all seriousness, in terms of modern engines, and by modern I mean fuel injected and computer controlled engines, this is bar none the simplest and most straightforward of them all. Everything you see here is everything you get. For reference, it took me 1 hour flat to get the cylinder head off of my CRX's D16, and that was with me taking my time, looking at memes in between grabbing tools, and even writing a memoir to my life's accomplishments. But in all seriousness though, you could have the cylinder head off of this car in about 20 to 30 minutes if you're hustling. You could have the motor out in about an hour to 2 hours, and you'd have the transmission dropped in about 30 minutes. And you could probably change all these spark plug wires in the amount of time it took me to tell you all of that. Everything is so simple and straightforward to work on in this car. A lot of times you won't have to read DIYs or watch how-to videos. But even if you're a beginner, this is the best platform to learn on for both maintenance and modifications. And to compound this simplicity, to boost the engine or swap it to something else is arguably only one notch harder. And if you're a beginner, like I said earlier, this is the best platform to do it on. To add, all of this is affordable. Affordable being a relative term, of course. Maintenance costs are still relatively low though, even 20 years after this car was sold. Unfortunately, this post-COVID market has made the aftermarket kind of ditzy. You can still build on a budget, but like anything else, it's easy to go over the top. It still hurts to come across old forum posts of people selling GSR engines for under $1,000. Nonetheless, you can case swap on a budget and it is very well documented, or build your D16 with a VTEC head, or swap a B series head, or an H series, or a J series. I don't know. Pick your favorite letter from the alphabet and maybe go from there. There are so many different combinations and routes you can take. We can make this video 7 hours long if we wanted to explore each variation, but we aren't. Just know the possibilities are endless. So what does this car really like to drive? We've already demonstrated that it is on the lower end of the spectrum in terms of acceleration, but that's no reason to discount this car. There is one word I can use to describe the driving experience of this car: satisfying. There's just an underlying simplicity to the car that takes down any barriers to the driving experience. It truly is a connection between man and machine, or woman and machine. You can tell what the car is doing at all times. You can feel each millimeter of the throttle cable being pulled. You can feel the steering rack working. And even driving around town in a sedate manner, honestly, it feels more on par with the driving experience and engagement you get with a motorcycle versus your average car. You know how the car is doing things. There's no veil behind it. You know how the power is getting to the ground. You know how the gear changes are being made. And there's something just so satisfying about driving a car and having that connection with it. And man, does Honda make a good shifter. They make a good shifting manual transmission. You know when iPhones came out, or those iPod touches, and every time you hit a key on the touchscreen, it'd make this like haptic response. So it had like a small vibration with each click and made a sound with it accordingly as well. And it was just very satisfying to do that. That's how shifting this car is, honestly. Every time you click a gear, it just has that satisfying nature to it. What's more impressive is that I'm saying this in 2022 for a car that was sold in 1998. This car has over 200,000 miles on the odometer, and these words I have said are the exact feelings I have about this car in this present moment. So to answer the question of, does this car hold up, is a big fat yes. The fact that this car is still so good and so viable 20 years later is an even bigger testament to how viable it is. And I think this video highlighted something about automotive culture today. I think we've become so lost in the numbers, the bullet point features, and the advanced technology that we forgot how good a simple car can be to drive. When the mental gymnastics are wiped away, we are left with the essence of the car itself. This car is very upfront and doesn't present any illusions, titles, or selling points. Yes, the car is slow, and yeah, the limits are low. The car is what it is, but in this state, this car presents an unfiltered, unhindered experience that leaves you, the driver, to be immersed in this exact moment. No past, no future, just the present moment. A bond between human and machine. And in the end, isn't that what driving cars is all about?